Hi everybody, welcome to Heel Heat, our TNA show. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Kazarian.
Oh, thanks. I'm not calling you Christopher Daniels. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And the first thing we're going to talk about, speaking of Kazarian, was the first promo of the night. Bobby Roode, Kaz, and Daniels came out, cut a promo, basically talking about their days in fortune, called it Throwback Thursday. Because later in the night they're fighting.
I wanted to say the surprise, but yeah, they fought in Zubaz, everybody. It was
No. I'm talking about their opponents. Who are they fighting?
Oh, AJ, Storm, and Hardy.
Jesus Christ, GR.
I ruined the surprise on you.
It's Botchamania 3.
I know.
But anyway, they cut a promo with each other, did a little spiel, all that good stuff.
I'll tell you what, the two that most impressed me on TNA is Kaz and Daniels. Their promo skills and their in-ring skills are just spot on.
Yeah, at least they don't botch like some hosts do.
Ain't nobody perfect except for Kurt Hennig. Anyways, The next match, speaking of someone with the name Hennig, but it's not, Samoa Joe versus Devon for the television championship.
Who the hell has the name Hennig?
Joe Hennig. Joe. Everybody's got a price.
That was the biggest reach I've ever seen. But anyway, it was a decent match. Everybody knew that the Aces and Eights would get involved. They threw out some stripper-looking chicks to distract the ref and Samoa Joe. Devon gets his TV title back, which he should have never lost.
No. And the funny thing is, which right after they come back to their hideout, the strippers, or whatever the hell they are dancing to their theme music.
Yeah, that's pretty pathetic.
I know.
And here's the thing, I brought it up to you watching the show. Their hideout seems to be just a door off of the set. If that's been their hideout this whole time, why couldn't they find Joseph Parks? Don't you think they would have heard him screaming? I mean, there's not like there's, 50 fans there?
It might have been on the other side of the Harry Potter ride.
Oh, so they thought it was a kid's ride.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
There's always an answer.
I mean, it was kind of near the Blue Man Group.
There you go. Anyways.
Our next thing was a in-ring promo with some of the Divas talent. Mickie James came out, Tara came out, and then the returning
Velvet Sky.
There you go. I gave him one. He hits it. You're 1 for 2 tonight, GR.
What can I say? And I tell you what, she was looking extra hot tonight, I think.
You like the implanted lips?
I don't care, dude. She is the hottest knockout by far to me. I mean, really.
I mean, she's
stripper pretty. I mean, honestly, that's just the best.
The best is stripper pretty.
Oh, you damn right.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, they all cut promos on each other. Mickie and Tara, because they're fighting at the pay-per-view. And Velvet saying 2013 she's going to win the women's title. Or the Knockouts title. Yeah.
I was distracted by our collagen lips, but that's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, the next match we had were the Robbie E's, or what do they call themselves now? The two Robbies?
Robbie E and Robbie T versus Chavo and Hernandez.
And this match did not fail to
bore the shit out of me.
Exactly. I told him, I was like, man, this is a match you get up to go piss to. It is. I mean, honestly. Chavo mails it in so freaking bad. Hernandez is just...
Hernandez botched the two moves. He botched the tag to Chavo, where Chavo was going to do the flipping senton.
Yeah.
And he botched another one. I forget what it was, but it was bad.
Speaking of it was just a forgettable match.
Yeah, it was forgettable. I mean, Robbie and Robbie T, I think, have a little bit of a future. I think Robbie E more than Robbie T. Robbie T's more of a body. But I like Robbie. I do. I think he cuts some interesting promos. I think he has good in-ring talent. The gimmick's a little bit of a Zack Ryder ripoff, but... Hey.
I'll tell you, if I was in charge, somebody'd be getting fired.
Speaking of getting fired, our question of the week last week. That was a good segue. You see how I did that? Our question of the week last week, as you all know, was there was a big Powerball jackpot. So we based our question on that. You win the Powerball, you buy TNA, who's the first person you fire? Now, before we get into our answers, we got an answer from one of our friends right here. This comes from our friend Paul from over at the Deadly Sins. He puts, Hogan. Yeah, definitely Hogan. Did I mention I would fire Hogan? Would have to be Hogan, followed by their bookers, but the bookers have a job until I fire Hogan. I think Paul makes his point pretty loud and clear that Hulk Hogan, well, actually, he doesn't say which Hogan. It could be Brooke he's talking about.
I'm sure it's Hulk, but
I know it's Hulk. We're just joshing with you.
We're just jashing. Well, who would you fire?
You know, Hulk Hogan is the easy answer, but I'm going to go with the hard answer. I would fire Sting. For the simple fact that it's a business. For the money that they're paying Sting, which I'm sure is a lot, he's not bringing back that much of a return.
No.
The guy wrestles, 5 times a year, maybe? He's at the show, maybe. All right, so he does do some shows. I get it. And he is a draw, but he's not helping them get any ratings. You need to start getting rid of some of those guys. Out of the higher paid guys, I think Sting's the guy that would be easiest to lose. The Hogan's the easy answer. Hogan would probably be the one I would fire, honestly. But I just want to give a little bit different take on it.
Yeah. Me, of course, I'm going with Hogan. He's hogging up the spotlight for all these young guys. We on our show we actually have the Hogan count or the Thunder Lips count, whatever we want to call it, and it gets ridiculous the amount of time, if you really look at it, he takes up per show.
And we don't even put into account the pre-taped segments, the promos from last week or whatever, or the thing the commercial he does with Dixie Carter either, which we don't really count as live parts of the show. But if you add them, it just gets astounding.
And you're taking all the spotlight time away from younger wrestlers. And honestly, how many matches do we have tonight?
Oh, I think like 5
on a 2-hour show. That's ridiculous. I'm just stating the obvious would be Hogan. There'd be some good ones. Like I like the idea with Sting down the road, but
there's 4 matches. I just counted them up in my head. 4 matches on a 2-hour show. There was a lot of promo time, which is okay when you're building towards a pay-per-view. And speaking of pay-per-views, our question of the week this week, you like that segue too.
Pretty good, pretty impressed.
The question of the week for this week, reports are out that TNA is going to drop some pay-per-views off the schedule, maybe scale it back to about 8 pay-per-views instead of 12 next year. What do you guys think? Do you like it better with the less pay-per-view, give them more time to build? Or do you like the fact that every month there's something happening at pay-per-view? Let us know if you like the less pay-per-views, or leave it the same, the 12 pay-per-views. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on our Twitter. Put it down where?
Down there.
The shit I have to go through every week. Put it in our comments. Let us know your opinion, and we'll bring it up next week on our show, and we'll tell you our opinions on the situation.
All right. Now, coming back to the show, it was Kurt Angle versus Doc, Luke Gallows, whatever you want to call him. What's Doc stand for, George?
Director of cookies?
Exactly.
Director of cellos?
Yeah. Director of cellos. Anyways, it was a pretty good match. I liked it. It was a solid match.
Director of calculators?
Calculators.
It works for me.
Anyways, I liked it. They had the little run-in at the end with Aces and Eights coming out and the rest of the TNA.
Wes Briscoe, Garrett Bischoff, and Samoa Joe came out to make the save for Kurt Angle, which set up a challenge for the pay-per-view, those 4 against those 4. Why do you throw the 4 down? That's not fair to Flair.
There.
Copyright Lou.
There you go.
Gave him his props. It was a decent match. I liked it. I like out of the Aces and Eights, other than Devon, because everybody knows I'm a big Dudley Boys fan. I think Doc is going to be the breakout star coming out of it.
Now, speaking of being a fan of something, they had a little backstage interview with Jeff Hardy
and James
Storm, and it's the Hardy. We're hearing what's going on in his mind. It is ridiculous. I'm sorry. it would have flew 1 or 2 times, but if we're going to do it all the time, it's one of those things that makes you almost embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. If I'm sitting there with somebody and saying, hey, I watch wrestling, and click the channel on, and that's on there, you know what I'm saying? You're really making the product look like shit. You're making it fake. That's my opinion. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about it?
I'm not a big fan of it. I think they tried something to be different, and it's not working, and they're not going away from it. It's okay to try something different. It's okay. The Katie Vick thing was different. It didn't work. They went away from it. You know, this is different. They should go away with it when it's not working.
Exactly. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's ever complained about it. I mean, do you know anybody else that's ever watched it?
I don't think anybody likes it. I know the first time they show it, our friend the Mass Tweeter said that he enjoyed it because it was different, but again, that was the first time. Now they're kind of beating it like a dead horse. Every week we're seeing inside of Jeff Hardy's brain, and it's not even what his brain really is saying, because his brain's like cocaine, uppers, Xanax.
Can I leave the stove on?
Oh man. That was...
I beat the dog. Anyways. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's just freaking horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Let's go. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let's go from something horrible to
something that was really good. I like this 3-man match they set up. Kenny King versus Ion versus Kid Cash. I did like the match. The only thing I didn't like is there was no build-up at all to this. First of all, Kenny King's not been on TV much over the last 4 or 5 months. Ion, they seem to be pushing him down the thing, and Kid Cash has been a tag team wrestler for most of this year.
And they didn't even give him any entrances. You know, we come back from commercial and they're all three in the ring, get introduced and start the match. You know.
However, with all the negatives about it, it was a tremendous match.
Oh, I was very impressed.
A good old school style X Division match. You got a lot of your high spots were hit. The guys got over well. Kid Cash probably was the general in the match, calling all the spots. Kenny King was the one that went over, which I thought I liked because I like Kenny King as a wrestler.
You know, we were talking about Kenny King before, and I think the more I see, he's like Shelton Benjamin.
With more charisma.
Exactly. And I think for a guy his size, I think he actually moves a lot better than Shelton did. You know, because he's a little bit bigger than Shelton, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think so.
I like I said, I like him. And I hate to, you know, every show it seems like I'm saying this about one guy or another. He's one of the guys that I've watched in Ring of Honor for a long time, and I really liked in Ring of Honor, and I like how he's translating it onto a different show. Ring of Honor really is kind of like the old ECW at this point. It's not as popular, but it seems to be where all your stars are coming from.
Exactly. I mean, the 2 top shows, which TNA is just number 2.
Yeah.
Most of their top guys are former Ring of Honor champions or competitors.
Exactly. And it's the same thing going for WWE for the most part, other than a couple guys. You know, guys like Punk, Cesaro, Bryan. I mean, you know, guys on TNA like Aries, Joe, Kenny King now. AJ Styles wrestled at Ring of Honor at one point. Daniels. I mean, a lot of the guys crossed over, and kudos to them. Ring of Honor, it's not for everyone. It's more for wrestling fans that like old school style wrestling. It's almost like a late 70s NWA style.
Yeah, and their champion is someone that we're both very high on. I mean, George even got his shirt.
Yeah. Kevin Steen. I love Kevin Steen. I think it's just a matter of time before one of the big 2 shows snack him up, and if they don't, they'd be really stupid not to.
Now, you talk about Kevin Steen. We're going to talk about a guy that has a lot of his same qualities, I think, is Bully Ray. Bully Ray is one of the best shit talkers in the business. I mean, I'm saying that's your boy, but it's true. You know, I always screw it with him. I was saying, you know, the Dudleys weren't shit, but they were a top tag team, but Bully Ray is a shining star from that tag team.
They weren't a top tag team.
All right. They're the top tag team. All right. And Bully Ray is the shining star of that group. He had a little promo where he's cutting.
Well, first they did the thing in the backstage with him and Hulk Hogan, and him trying to ask Hogan nicely for a match with Aries, and then saying, "I'm gonna take the show over if I don't get a match," and
takes the show over.
Comes over, sits in the ring. which brings out Austin Aries, who decides to sit in a runway. And between the two of them, it was just a great segment, a great, little interview thing, build up some hype for a pay-per-view. Hogan comes out, says, I'm not going to make the match, that you guys aren't getting what you want. You can't just push me around until Daddy's little girl comes out.
The $1,000 princess? Ooh, too soon?
No, she still got the money. Linda got it.
Oh, there you go.
But anyway, she comes out and serves as a mediator and tells Daddy to make the match for him. Which
you want this match, brother?
Did you just call him Mark? I want to know if that was part of the storyline or if Brooke fucked up and couldn't remember that Mark LaMonica's name in TNA is Bully Ray.
It's probably the latter. It's probably she don't remember that Mark LaMonica's name is Bully Ray. Anyways, I like the promo. I like the whole segment.
It was a good segment. I really enjoyed it.
Except Hogan was in it.
It leads us to a match at the pay-per-view between two guys that I really like in TNA. And speaking of Hogan being in something, our Thunder Lips count, you mentioned it earlier, is at a surprisingly low 2 Thunder Lips. I'm okay with 2 Thunder Lips on the show. Both segments involve Bully Ray. I don't like the shows where he's involved in every segment, but this was okay. I can live with 2 times on a show.
Yeah, and kind of they're phasing them out of the Aces and Eights thing, which I kind of like that.
Speaking of Aces and Eights, going to our main event match, the 6-man tag, James Storm, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy versus Daniels, Kazarian, and Bobby Roode. A really good match. Why don't you go ahead and tell your part that you gave away in the beginning anyway?
Well, they came out rocking cut-off shirts, Zubaz, and gimmick bags. Hilarious. Throwback Thursdays.
There you go.
It was awesome. I'm really. They're probably right now wrestling. They're probably my favorite tag team. I mean, I like Hell No, but these guys are a traditional tag team. They actually got a name. What was their name? Bad Influence.
That's it.
Just like me. And a lot of their moves just work. They work so good together. I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah, I like them a lot too. I think they're great. I did like the pink and black Zubaz. I mean, we watched the show together. I couldn't stop laughing at it. It's just ridiculous the stuff they do to get over. Anything from doing the Gangnam Style dance to the Zubaz pants.
And the Gangnam Style dance thing was awesome today too, because
they teased it and I said no.
No.
But the thing of it is, Jeff Hardy wins with the Twist of Fate. And earlier in the night, we seen the Aces and Eights took an envelope and got money out. Someone paid them off for an attack, and guess who it was?
Bobby Roode.
No, who got
Well, they attacked Hardy, but Bobby Roode paid them off.
There you go. Which is setting up weakening Hardy for the pay-per-view, which Bobby Roode thinks will help him win. But we all know that weak Hardy is just going to Super Cena it up and take over and do his version of the 6-hit combo of Queer. Again, TM to Lou. We're quoting the shit out of Lou this week.
I'm telling you. Holy fuck.
Might as well call this the Lou Show.
The Lou Show. But anyway, isn't Hardy's contract up coming soon?
It's coming up, I think, January or February. And Matt Hardy's running his mouth on Twitter about there being a Hardy Boys reunion in the WWE. Who knows if he's just trying to mess with Marks or if it's true. I think Vince would hire him back. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't see it happening on Jeff's end. Matt, he might do it for Matt because Matt needs a paycheck worse than he does. Mm-hmm. But,
I mean, they're both. I mean, Matt's I was very disappointed when Matt's turned out because he seemed like the level-headed one that didn't have the problems that he was helping his little brother out. Ends up he has the same damn problems his brother does. He just hides it better.
Just a bunch of white trash from North Carolina.
Ooh.
And I ain't shooting on North Carolina because they could be white trash from anywhere.
Yeah. Just the hills. But, I mean, what would you think of the show?
Overall, I wasn't impressed. It worked as a good hype show for the pay-per-view, not a good standalone show. I mean, if I'm not watching the pay-per-view, I would hate the show more. But, I'm going to watch the pay-per-view.
So what was your high points on the show?
The three-way match between Kenny King, Ian, and Cash, and the Bully Ray Airy segment were probably my favorites. And Daniels and Kaz wearing the Zubaz.
The Zubaz. Oh, I'm gonna say the Zubaz. I hope it.
This is a show we had Devon versus Joe, and that's not even up there for me. No. And you know I love both them.
I know, it was a shit match. I hope they do the Zubaz all every week until they get tired of it and do something else.
Exactly. Maybe they'll change up the colors. And this week they did the Heart Attack because they were wearing pink and black. Maybe it'll be a little subtle hint.
Orange or yellow and black will be next week, and they could do the Killer Bees move.
There you go.
There you go.
But anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say about this show. Is there anything else you needed to add?
I think we're done.
My name's George Coles.
Gary Rhodes.
And this has been our Heel Heat TNA show.